Hello, my name is Jim Porter. Welcome to Skeptical Spectrum Responds. This is the channel Skeptical Spectrum on YouTube. On this channel, I try to discuss important social topics in a responsible way. I also have a podcast on this channel called Change Jim Porter's Mind, in which I state a belief I have, and I ask my guests, who are chosen because they disagree with me, to tell me all the reasons why I should rethink my position and consider theirs. One goal I have in all of this is to foster productive disagreement. Another goal I have is to put out new material more and more consistently. So please subscribe if you want to see my new content when it comes out. Today, I'm going to respond to a video, the September 7th, 2020 YouTube video, The Tyranny of Merit. Do we deserve what we get? It's a conversation between Michael Sandel and the Cosmic Skeptic, also known as Alex O'Connor. I'll put a link to that video down in the description. My response consists only and solely of thoughts about meritocracy that arose for me as I listened to them speak. None of my comments are intended to be a direct response to anything either of them said in the video. I have not even read Sandel's book, The Tyranny of Merit, What's Become of the Common Good, so I'm not responding to that book either. But I'll put a link to that book down below also. So let's get started. I personally have always, as far as I can remember, been skeptical of the idea of meritocracy. Sounds crazy, probably, but let's go. I define meritocracy as the idea that people with merit should rise to the top. In Sandel's formulation, he might be defining meritocracy as the idea that we should all actively reward people who provide the most important things for society, rather than stick to a system that rewards the rich and powerful with even more wealth and power. And that sounds very good, in my opinion, the concept of rewarding the right people instead of the so-called wrong people for what they do. As far as I can tell, Sandel is not in favor of the concept of meritocracy, and I'm not in the favor of the concept of meritocracy either. I'd like to argue against two kinds of formulations of meritocracy. One's an anti-free market formulation for meritocracy, and another one is a pro-free market formulation for meritocracy. In my experience, one non-free market pro-meritocracy argument seems to go like this. People who are not meritorious don't create anything worth much. That's proposition one, I guess. Proposition two is people who are meritorious create the most valuable things for our society. Number three is people who are meritorious deserve more for providing things that people really need, or should get more because they provide it, to encourage them to provide it. Therefore, we should provide people of merit with more rewards than we provide everyone else, and everything will turn out better for everybody. I have a few problems with this pro-meritocracy argument. Remember, this one does not necessarily rely on a free market. It seems to me that this pro-meritocracy argument requires or assumes that some people are less meritorious than others and that people of different merit have different needs. In rebuttal to the idea that people of different merit or people have unequal merit, I reply that all measures people use for merit are subjective and not reliable. You'll see more of this in this talk down the way. For example, there is a great amount of debate in my head anyway about whether billionaires, saints, messiahs, doctors, CEOs, engineers, or even military service members are inherently or even effectively meritorious. I name those because a lot of people would automatically say those people are meritorious in some way. Also, I'm uncertain whether we should consider someone meritorious based on their behavior on the job, or their behind the scenes behavior, or based on their effort instead of their behavior, or even based on their results instead of their effort. That's because I believe that luck can be the real reason someone is smart, or has a good work ethic, or just happens to stumble upon successful creation of a valued product or service. Actually, there is one specific thing from the video that I will respond to directly. Sandel in the video argued that if a person is determined to be truly pure evil by nature, then they can be blamed and deserving of punishment. I categorically disagree with this. I disagree with deservingness even being a category, evil being a category. If there truly are evil people anyway, that's a factor of luck too. If there are actually people born with the urge to hurt and exploit others, or to get a feeling of delight by causing other people suffering, they cannot be blamed for their evil. By definition, it is not your fault if you were born evil. Congratulations. We can't blame you or praise you for it. Blame and praise become irrelevant in this whole thing. So, deservingness of punishment is irrelevant also. The only concern here would be what society can do to get that person who's doing evil stuff to change their behavioral patterns. It might be punishment, but it might be something else like training. Whatever that person needs to become a better behaved person is the only thing we should be thinking about. Another idea or another thing about the idea of meritocracy and what it does um, is that it sets up an internal contradiction in its goals. The idea of meritocracy states that we should give people of merit what they deserve for giving others what they need. So, what's the highest value here? Are we to provide people with what they need or with what they deserve? If we laud people of merit for creating what people need, it represents a very different value than lauding a person of merit for creating what people deserve. Those are two different goals. We do not necessarily need what we deserve or deserve what we need. So, what is our ultimate goal? To provide everybody with what they need or what they deserve. What if the person that is meritorious deserves $4 billion but doesn't actually need it? What if somebody really needs food on the table but doesn't deserve it based on some standard of earning food? Then it would be logically impossible, really, to uh, give someone under a meritocracy anyway the food that they need, no matter how hungry they are. It just wouldn't make sense. They don't get it because they don't deserve it. We have to make up our minds between needs and deservingness. So, also, needs and merit are just mysterious things anyway. It seems clear to me that different people have the same needs, regardless of the merit they have, but that different people's needs become prominent and apparent and important based on people's immediate circumstances rather than on their character or their effort or even their output. I also assert that people's circumstances are not necessarily indicators of their merit, nor are they indicators of their effort. Luck is a huge contributor to your circumstances. Now, your circumstances may point to your needs, but only vaguely. The only way for someone else to understand your needs is by them having an understanding of your circumstances plus your routine soul searching to assess your own needs plus in-depth active listening on the part of the other person who wants to support your needs. This is how hard it is to actually understand what people needs. So merit and deservingness add distraction to any process intended to fulfill the needs of a society. Merit and deservingness are vague, distracting, and unnecessary to the topic. We can just focus on needs. That makes sense to me. Now, that was the non-free market side of arguing for meritocracy. On the pro-free merit side of arguing for meritocracy, one assumption seems to me to be that you can tell people have merit because they have accrued wealth and power. Some people might believe that if we just reward people for providing products and services of value by paying them what we're willing and able to pay them to provide those things, that's the free market concept, everything will just turn out fine overall for the entire society. In a sense, it'll just all come out in the wash. It'll all even out somehow. With meritorious people being able to have more, though, and people of lower merit having less, but enough. The word merit here or anywhere can mean that a person works harder, works smarter, or has certain abstract inner qualities like intelligence or character or work ethic, which are all very difficult to determine and measure. A lot of people don't know that. There is also the assumption that products and services have a true value that matches price. This involves a belief in the invisible hand of the market, like we said before. It argues that a free market, unfettered by any regulations that might be put into place by the community as a whole, will take care of everything that needs to be taken care of and provide everyone with their true needs. You're hearing that the community doesn't get to say what needs to be provided. The market, this invisible thing, this is kind of magical thinking. In this assumption, also, the value of a product or service is closely tied to its price, and price is defined by what the market will bear. What the market will bear points to what people both need and can afford. So I think you can guess some of my rebuttals. Um, let's first of all, the value given to products and services is statistically skewed by the most wealthy and powerful people in the world. That's because they have the ability to tip the scales by holding out on those less wealthy and powerful until the powerful get the terms that they want. So this is them routinely depriving the less powerful equal value in turn for what they have given in terms of products, services, or wages being given for everything it took the less powerful to give what they're demanded to give. Also, the value of a product or service includes what a person is spending to provide a product or service. So, this is the same topic, but something that's really often ignored. Everything costs money. So, this is routinely acknowledged in our culture, more for very large businesses, but less for smaller businesses and even less for employees. For example, it costs an employee valuable time and or money to take care of their homes, children, health, finances, rest, recovery, fun, training, education, transportation, and other essentials of having a good life and doing quality work. This is the cost of working. People must otherwise deprive themselves of these things unless they are paid not only for their labor, but also for the costs of being able to provide their labor, to get where they need to go to even provide their labor, and give up all the other things that are valuable in order to have time to provide their labor. Therefore, powerful and wealthy large business owners do not give customers or employees the product, service, job quality, or pay that matches the value of the customer's money or the employee's labor. And small business owners cannot afford to give them these things because they are competing with the large businesses. So a free market is not free or fair. The conclusion I draw from this is that people cannot have what they value unless there is conscious effort from others to understand what they value and therefore need. Supply and demand dynamics do not create an understanding of what other people need and value. Also, the free market meritocracy argument implies that a combination of individual behaviors aggregates into an overall population behavior, that of moving the most valuable people, products, and services to the top. That top meaning that certain people have more access to things than other people, but that somehow certain products and services become more available and therefore cheaper to everyone. Even though it seems the most valuable products would cost more by the definition that price is a good approximation of value. So price isn't a good approximation of value. A free market won't provide people with the things they need the most or want because they can't afford them. And my final rebuttal of true value is that I prefer Ace Hardware. Regarding the idea that people of merit will automatically rise to the top, I'd like to bring up a much abused statement related to the concept of merit, once made by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the statement goes, I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I believe that there does seem to be an assumption in this statement that the content of a person's character is observable. However, I think that Dr. King was not asserting that assumption in any categorical way. I don't think he assumed that character was an easily observable construct at all. Whatever anyone else says, I believe that Dr. King was speaking from the perspective of the social justice warrior that he was. That was the context of what he was saying. I believe he was making a statement of preference or demand. Don't judge people's character by their skin color. Skin color is not an indicator of character. That's what I think he was saying. But in no way was he telling us to ignore the negative effects of racism on people of color. So, when I hear a person try to use the concept of judging people by the content of their character versus the color of their skin as an excuse to avoid talking about the ongoing injustice visited on Black Americans by our white establishment, I have some criticisms. One criticism is that Martin Luther King was specifically talking about our American system, which is a white establishment, which judges and mistreats Black Americans based on the color of their skin. Our system does not judge anyone negatively by the color of their skin if their skin is white. Now, when I see our system is a white establishment, I of course acknowledge that people of color contribute as much or more than anyone else to our society, to our community, but that the establishment itself was designed by white aristocrats, and it hasn't gone under much redesign since then. So it's still doing those activities of unequal treatment. Another criticism I have is that character is an abstract concept. One must establish an operational definition for it based on concrete observables in human behavior. I don't really believe in doing this. I hope this isn't too sarcastic or mean sounding, but I could set up the following definitions for bad character and good character. Number one, anyone who uses MLK's quote to discourage a conversation about the lingering effects of past slavery and the ongoing apartheid and oppression and disenfranchisement visited upon the Black Americans is a person of bad character. And then one can be judged as a good person or a person of good character if they openly support the equalization of treatment, opportunity, and result for the Black community in this country. I said and result, which is a big point of contention for many people. These would constitute my tests of character if I really thought character could be tested. Nevertheless, I do not believe that we can judge the content of people's character by any observation we can possibly make in the literal world of facts. Therefore, I believe that character and therefore deservingness and therefore merit are all false constructs. Ultimately, in my view, there is only one measure of character or merit or deservingness that I can even try to entertain. And I made it up, and I made up a little aphorism, a little saying to express it, and it goes like this. If I could read your mind, if I could completely understand what it's like to be you, I'm certain I would admire you. And if I could, I would want to give you whatever you need or want. That's it. That's all I've got. Please leave comments below. Subscribe, please. Tell me if you think I've totally missed the most important arguments for meritocracy, or if you have tips on how to make my rebuttals better. And goodbye.